Goldie Hawn is an icon whose infectious giggle and carefree demeanor made her a beloved figure in Hollywood. However, behind the smile that lit up screens was a woman battling severe anxiety. Feeling the weight of panic attacks so intense, they made her believe she was dying. While the world saw the bubbly blonde in a bikini on television, there was so much more to her story than what was visible. Goldie's journey through Hollywood was shaped by rejection and the drive to prove everyone wrong. From a ballerina who was told she wasn't good enough, to a go-go dancer struggling with shame, to a star who became an Oscar winner, Goldie used each rejection as fuel for her success. She didn't just become an actress. She became a producer and a businesswoman, all while challenging the stereotypes of what women in Hollywood could achieve. A childhood of expectations and rejection. Goldie's childhood in Tacoma Park, Maryland, was filled with the sounds of her father's saxophone, which played long into the night as he practiced for performances at local clubs. Her mother, Laura Hahn, was strict, constantly reminding Goldie that while pretty girls were common, talented and disciplined girls were the ones who made it. At 3 years old, Goldie began ballet lessons, not because she had a passion for it, but because her mother decided it was the path to success. Ballet was meant to shape Goldie into something more elegant, disciplined, and poised. However, instead of nurturing her, it became a source of pain. Ballet, with its strict rules and unattainable standards, taught her discipline but also led her to believe she was never good enough. The mirrors in the dance studio were her biggest critics, reflecting her every flaw, making her feel inadequate compared to the other girls. The struggles of growing up, not quite enough. By her early teens, Goldie's battle with her self-esteem intensified. Alongside her dance training, she developed a growing sense of anxiety, tightness in her chest before performances, and a sense of dread that followed her everywhere. Her school years offered little refuge from this inner turmoil. The other kids saw her blonde hair and smile and assumed she was shallow, while the boys saw her as nothing more than a pretty face. The isolation she felt deepened. Goldie wasn't a popular girl, nor was she academically gifted. She was the girl who danced, but that wasn't enough to truly belong anywhere. Behind the facade of the beautiful, carefree girl was someone who lay awake at night, wondering if she would ever be seen for more than her appearance. She didn't just feel unseen, she felt misplaced, always searching for a place to belong but never quite finding it. The go-go dancing years. A humbling beginning. At the age of 19, Goldie took a job that would mark the beginning of her transformation. She became a go-go dancer at a nightclub, a far cry from her days in the ballet studio. The club was filled with loud music, spilled beer, and men who barely noticed the dancers. Wearing thigh-high white boots and short skirts, Goldie felt the weight of shame every night as she performed. She had been trained in the art of dance, but here she was, reduced to eye candy. It was a humiliation, and yet it became one of her most important life lessons. On those go-go platforms, Goldie learned how to command attention without apology. The giggling blonde who had once been rejected for being too bouncy now used her body, her energy, and her presence to create something that was entirely her own. She learned how to take what others dismissed as superficial and turn it into her source of power. Building her career. One step at a time. By 1967, Goldie was still struggling in her career. She was waiting tables between small dance gigs, trying to make a name for herself in an industry that didn't seem to have space for someone like her. Despite years of training, she couldn't land the big roles she dreamed of. Rejections piled up as she auditioned for Broadway chorus lines, TV shows, and dance troupes. But the callbacks never came. Then, in 1968, an opportunity appeared on the horizon. The producers of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In were looking for dancers for their new comedy variety show. While it wasn't glamorous and didn't come with any guarantees, it was an opportunity. Goldie showed up for the audition, feeling anxious and out of place among the other dancers. But something clicked when the music started. Instead of performing perfectly choreographed movements, she danced with the freedom and energy she had learned as a go-go dancer. It wasn't about perfection. It was about connection. And Goldie made an impression, not because she was flawless, but because she was memorable. The cost of fame, anxiety, and invisibility. Fame, for Goldie, came with a price. While Laugh-In made her a household name, it also made her invisible in many ways. America adored her for her giggle, her youthful charm, and her seemingly carefree personality. But no one saw the anxiety that plagued her behind the scenes. She felt like a fraud, terrified that the world would realize she wasn't as happy as she appeared. She was the life of the party on screen, but off-screen, she was struggling with overwhelming self-doubt. It was a difficult time for Goldie, as she had to grapple with her fame while battling the fear that she was nothing more than a one-dimensional character in the eyes of the world. She was desperate to prove to herself and to others that she was capable of more, that she wasn't just the dumb blonde everyone assumed she was. The turning point. Proving her worth. The turning point for Goldie came during awards season in 1969. Laugh-In had received multiple Emmy nominations, but Goldie wasn't recognized. Despite her central role in the show's success, she wasn't considered a performer in her own right. Sitting in the audience, watching her colleagues walk up to collect awards, she made a silent vow. She would prove everyone wrong, not by complaining, but by becoming so undeniably talented that they'd have no choice but to see her for who she truly was. She would no longer let others define her. The dumb blonde was about to show Hollywood just how smart and capable she could be. This moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in Goldie's career, one where she would take control of her narrative and shape her destiny. Oscar-winning performance and reclaiming her power. Goldie's decision to prove herself came to fruition when she auditioned for the role in Cactus Flower, 1969. It was a role that could have easily been dismissed as just another supporting part, but Goldie knew this was her chance to prove her critics wrong. She wasn't going to just play the dumb blonde stereotype anymore. She was going to show the world that she was a talented actress, capable of much more than what they had seen on Laugh-In. Her performance in Cactus Flower won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, cementing her place as a serious and talented actress in Hollywood. Goldie had finally shown the world that the dumb blonde persona was nothing more than a mask for a brilliant and strategic mind. She had proven, once and for all, that being underestimated could be the greatest advantage of all. A legacy of triumph and resilience. After decades of entertaining the world with her infectious laughter and charm, Goldie Hawn's legacy is one of resilience and transformation. From the ballet studios of her childhood to the go-go platforms that initially shamed her, Goldie turned every challenge into an opportunity. She didn't just build an acting career, she built an empire, becoming a producer and a businesswoman at a time when women in Hollywood were expected to disappear at 40. Goldie's greatest achievement, however, may not be her Oscar or her iconic roles. It is her ability to reinvent herself and define success on her own terms. Through it all, she has remained true to herself, proving that the greatest power lies in embracing who you are, flaws and all.